Welcome to the Millionaire Whisperer channel.
Alright, so today we're going to be talking about a city fringe property which is Penrith. So
yes.
now let's take a deeper look into the location of Penrith. Okay, actually some people actually think this is actually not so near the MRT and liken this maybe to like Margaret Drive, which is definitely not so near the MRT. So out of curiosity, I did a comparison of the distance to MRT for the various Queenstown condo. So make a guess, how many minutes it is going to be to the MRT for this property?
Yes, please leave your comments below. Share with us. How long do you think it will take to walk to the MRT?
So, this is actually the answer. Queen Peak is actually the nearest, 86 meter. Commonwealth Tower, 132 meter. Stirling, 284. Penrith is not that bad, 300 meters. I think.
Not too bad.
How long
I think it probably take about 5 to 6 minutes walk. I think it's reasonable.
Oh,
fair.
please. You're old man, is it? It takes actually only 3 minutes for most normal, healthy people, alright? But Margaret View, right, is really much further. It's actually 600 over meters from Queenstown MRT. Okay, so this is actually the bird's eye view of Penrith. So I think certain correct directions you may probably have a good view, but currently we do not actually have the site plan as yet. Alright? So just to run through some of the project details.
So the developer is Hong Leong. Okay, so if you buy into a piece of project in this area, your address will start with Margaret Drive. So this is in District 3. Total of 462 units, 2 towers of 40 stories high. So the unit type is from 2 bedroom all the way to 4 bedroom. And the site area is 102,000 square feet.
At first, when I first looked at this project, Penrith, I thought it's a pretty small development in a way. So I took a greater look, right, against other pieces in Queenstown, and I did a comparison. Basically, Margaret View is only 51,000 square feet. Penrith is almost double of Margaret View. Alright, Queen's Peak is almost very close to Penrith, coming in at 113,000 square feet. Commonwealth Tower, slightly bigger, 130,000 square feet. And of course, we have the giant Stirling, which is 227,000 square feet. And looking at this fact sheet, actually I thought there was another problem that I see slightly, but which has become a very commonality today, is actually the number of car park lots. So just as a recap, total number of units in Penrith is
462.
Wow, okay. But the car park lots, we don't really have a 1:1 kind of lot. We only have 376. And but I don't think it's too big a problem. We do not have the breakdown of how many 2 bedrooms there would be. But looking at it so near the MRT, likely a lot of the tenants will not be driving in this place.
So what are the exciting amenities within 1 kilometer in this area? The closest amenities will be Dawson Place, and it's also within reach to places like IKEA, Alexander Central, Anchor Point, and of course your Margaret Drive Hawker Centre. In terms of connectivity, like what Joe has mentioned, it's 4 minutes walk to Queenstown MRT. In this area, you are easily accessible to either AYE or CTE. So if you were to go all the way down to Dempsey area to Orchard area, it's about 10 to 15 minutes drive. So what are the schools that's within 1 kilometer in this area? It's none other than Queenstown Primary School. So for the within 1 to 2 kilometer, you have Newtown, Gan Eng Seng, and also Alexander Primary School.
Alright, moving on to the architect is actually ADDP. ADDP is definitely a fantastic architect. I'm so glad that they are the architect for this development. They have actually done pieces like Martin Modern, New Futura, which are actually core central luxury property. Alright, Penrith land bid comes in at a break even of 2026 square feet. If we actually factor in harmonization at 20% profit margin, this development would have to be doing 2006. If developer is going to be doing 30% profit margin, which is likely going to happen to the high floor units, it's going to come in probably near to 2008 per square feet. So out of curiosity, I also visited some of the old land bits in Queenstown. Actually, the thing about buying property, buying earlier is always better is really, really true. In fact, if we're going to be talking about some of the older condos, slightly older condos in Queenstown, Commonwealth Tower then in 2013, the break-even is only 1,004. Today, right, for Penrith, the break-even is 2026. Barely over a 10 years period, you pay almost 600 PSF more.
That's a lot. The increase is huge.
So we're going to be comparing Penrith against other Queenstown condos, some of which will be Margaret View, Commonwealth Tower, Queen Peak, and Stirling. So once again, I did my own estimated two-bed price matrix, 20% factoring harmonization at 2006. The two-bed sizes is 614 and 678. I'm guessing that if it's going to be a 20% profit margin, the prices will be probably 1.6 to 1.76. And if for the higher floor, likely you are coming in at 1.7 to 1.88 million.
So if you look at what are the resale prices in this area, your nearest neighbor is Margaretville. So for the two-bedder, they have hit almost up to 1.85.
So out of curiosity, I took a greater look also at Margaretville floor plan. The entrance is actually quite a big one, which might be a wasted space. They have a landscape hall if you remove the study, but if you keep the study, I thought that is actually too big a balcony. And factoring this property is actually not harmonized, and people have been willing to pay up to 1.85 million. Sterling residents coming in for the two-bed highest transacted, almost 2 million. Yes, 1.98. Let's take a look at the floor plan. What do you have to say about it?
Okay, so if you look at this layout, right, okay, I think that this is a very nice common dumbbell layout. But however, if you look at the balcony, the balcony naturally takes up a huge portion of your livable space.
And then moving on to Commonwealth Tower, two-bed prices, highest people have accepted actually 1.98. Let's take a closer look at Commonwealth Tower two-bed floor plan, the one that paid 1.78 for this. This is the not so usual two-bed layout because they actually separate the master room and the bedroom too. The good thing is perhaps you have a slightly shorter corridor. Not too bad a layout actually.
But the balcony is super huge, I realized.
Really? You feel so?
Yes,
okay.
correct, yeah.
Alright, so going on to Queen Peak, two-bed. Two-bed people have paid as high as 1.75 in Queen Peak. And let's take a look at the floor plan.
So if you look at this layout for Queen's Peak, or this layout, the bedroom 2 can only fit in a single bed. And not only just that, in fact, if you look at the foyer, it takes up a huge portion of your livable space.
So you don't actually have an enclosable kitchen and the balcony. Wow, you feel like it's making wave. Looking at Queenstown condo, right, by the time Penrith TOP, the youngest will actually be 7 years old, which is Sterling residents, Margaret at 8 years old, Queen Peak at 9 years old, Commonwealth Tower at 12 years old.
Wow.
So if I were to do a comparison of the two bed, if the developer is going to be doing 20% profit margin, probably we are talking about prices will start from 1.59 all the way to 1.88. And comparing against the highest price paid for the oldest condo, I think it's quite a steal. It's almost entering brand new at resale prices. So with regards to the two-bed, I think if you get a good ballot number, it's almost a no-brainer.
So you have to really pray hard, guys, if you are going for this balloting.
Yes, so if you need more consultation about which layout is actually better, when the floor plan is out, we'll be glad to assist. Please contact us at this number.
Yes, call us soon. If you move on to the three-bed price analysis, basically based on a 20% profit margin, for a three-bedder, we are looking in the range of 2 million to 2.7 million. However, if the margin is 30%, for a three-bedder, we are looking at 2.1 to close to 2.9 million.
Now, let's take a look at three-bed prices in Margaretville. Highest quantum accepted is 2.25, which is pretty low. If we were to take a look at the floor plan,
so if you look at this three-bedroom for Margaretville, you realize that the balcony is taking up a huge portion of your livable space.
Sterling residence 3-bed, highest quantum people have paid up to 2.718. Let's take a look at the floor plan for Sterling residence. Same thing. Wow, I think people really love huge balcony over here.
Correct. Yeah.
So your balcony actually stretches from the living all the way to bedroom 3. Nothing wrong with it, but if you want a more efficient layout, you don't really like outdoor space, perhaps this may not be the best choice for you.
Yes. Okay, so if you move on to Queen's Peak 3-bedder, for Queen's Peak, they already accepted 2.42 million as their prices. And if you look at the layout for Queen's Peak, unfortunately, one of the bedroom it can only fit in a single bed.
Okay, so if today we're going to summarize the 3-bed, the likely prices is going to be from 2.05 all the way to 2.95. So has these prices actually been accepted here? I think so. Commonwealth Tower highest accepted 2.73, Queen Peak highest accepted 2.42, Margaretville 2.25, and Sterling at 2.71.
Alright, so right now let's hit to the 4-bedder. So based on a 20% profit margin, for a 4-bedder, we are expecting it to be between 3 million to 3.33 million. So if it's based on a 30% profit margin, we are looking potentially between 3.2 to 3.5 million. So if you look at the Margaret Vale again for the 4-bedroom, he has already accepted 2.6 million. So if you were to look at a 4-bedroom in Margaret Vale, you realize that one of the common room can only fit in a single bed, and there's an extra balcony in the master bedroom. So to me, balcony means a little bit wastage of space.
Okay, 4-bedroom at Sterling Residence. People have paid as much as 3.55 mil. Let's take a look at the floor plan. To be very fair, I thought this is quite a good layout. The only thing is you pay 3.55 including the aircon ledge. So now, let's take Commonwealth Tower. Highest quantum paid is 2.96, which is almost close to 3 million. Let's take a look at the floor plan for Commonwealth Tower. I think except for the entrance, you waste a fair bit of space. Other than that, it's pretty decent. Queen Peak, highest 4-bed, people have paid 3.27. Queen Peak is the only project in this area you get a private lift. So this is actually a private lift 4-bed. Once again, the balcony is making waves and we have 2 pretty small common bedrooms. But people have been willing to pay even up to 3.27 mil for the 4-bed in Queen Peak. So as a summary, the 4-bed prices is likely going to be ranging from 3.05 to 3.55. And this has been accepted in this area, but I wouldn't say that it is a super low price in this area. You are actually buying into scarcity. Do you know what is the total number of 4-bedroom in Queenstown? If we eliminate the older condo, the Queens, there's only 185. In fact, if you were to take a look at some of the resale 4-bed that have transacted in the various condo, right, like Queen Peak, there was only 1 unit of 4-bed that have transacted the last 2 years. So I would say the supply is really, really scarce over here, especially for big units. So we expect the average PSF for Penrith to likely come in at 2007. I think this is a pretty fair price if we compare it against other city fringe property like Ori, like Emerald or Katong.
So now let's look at the localized demand in Queenstown itself. So the HDB 5-room in this area has really accepted up to 1.65 million. So if you look at the latest transaction, which is actually in Margaret Drive itself, it has hit almost close to 1.7 million. And even a 5-room in Margaret Drive has already accepted up to almost close to 1.7 million. So if you were to get a unit in Penrith, I should say that your exit will be very easy and straightforward.
Alright, so we're going to take a look at some of the future developments in this area. So is this going to be the last plot, right, that is going to be in the Queenstown? Not really, but this is actually going to be the last plot that is nearest to the MRT. If you miss this plot, the rest you can also buy, but you just have to walk further to the MRT. We're going to take a look at the whole Singapore moving ahead. If we're going to miss this city fringe property, which hopefully is going to be doing an average of 2007 plus per square feet, if we miss this, what would happen?
You will stay very close to me, which is Jurong.
So this is just a guess because moving ahead, what is for sure is we know that the land at Lakeside is being sold. In fact, at almost the same price as Penrith, we expect the Lakeside to be doing at least at 2005 to 2007, depending on how much profit margin the developer is taking. The 2 pieces at Chuan Grove, the land price is also very near to Penrith, but that area is actually under OCR. We expect the prices to be doing an average of 2008 and maybe even 3,000 if developer is going to take a 30% profit margin. And Bayshore as well, at a 20% profit margin, developer would probably have to sell it at 2,008 plus per square feet. So ending it off for today, we have actually prepared an ultimate checklist if you are considering any of the properties, be it new or resale or the upcoming launches, which one should you enter? We have prepared a checklist for all of you up here. Please contact us at our contact number and we will be happy to share with you this ultimate checklist to make sure that your property purchase is a safe and sound one.
So once again, this is Vic.
And this is Joe signing off for today.